Hey, everybody. You are about to hear a brief retelling of the movie Samurai Marathon. Enjoy the movie. For 260 years, Japan was cut off from the outside world, but in 1853 American ships came here and the country changed forever. The expedition was met by the first minister of the shogunate. Commander Matthew Perry claimed to have come in peace. Any contact with foreigners in the land of the rising sun was forbidden, but Perry offered to review the laws and began to cooperate. Perry began to brag about technology. He showed a Morse machine and a camera with a picture of a naked woman, and also poured the minister Kentucky whiskey. But the commander left the best part for last. Firearms, specifically a Colt .45 caliber peacemaker. The arrival of the black ships frightened many feudal lords. Ida Kara, head of the Anaka clan. His daughter Princess Yuki has a passion for painting. The feudal lord saw a painting of foreign ships and immediately burned it. Ida Kara invited a man to come in. He needs an heir, and Suzumura is from a good family and he will be a great husband for his daughter. And yet the girl had other plans. She dreamed of going to America, or at least to the capital, but her father won't let her go to those nasty barbarians. Ida Kara is paranoid. He's convinced the Japanese won't stand up to Western invaders. So at dawn he orders the summoning of all the warriors, one of them being the young samurai Jinai. One day his father told him the truth about their family. Their service to the Anaka clan was only a cover. For generations they were ninjas, spies for the shogun. The man taught his son all the secret fighting skills. At the first sign of turmoil, Jinai would have to report it to the government. The ninja must not achieve great success, must not stand out, disgrace himself or get drunk, and not even his wife must know of his mission. The rest of the samurai had partied all night in a brothel before being drafted, so they arrived at Mr. Anaki's house with a sore head. Yuki was up to something. She cut off her hair and took advantage of the confusion to flee the castle. Almost the entire Shield Maiden squad is assembled. The last to join them was Yuki's squire. It seems they will have to fight, and they don't even remember the last time there was a war. Jinai lies every time he has diarrhea and runs to the pharmacy to write a letter to the government. And now Mr. Ida Kara is acting very strangely, probably plotting a mutiny. Send medicine, he wrote to the shogun. After years of service, Mr. Ida Kara retired his assistant, Matai Mona. All the warriors arrived at their lord's house. Among them was the potential groom of his daughter Suzumura. Ida Kara told the warriors about the Americans who insist on signing a trade treaty. But what they really want is to conquer them. The peaceful time has relaxed the samurai and foot soldiers, so tomorrow they will go on a 58-kilometer race over hills and rough terrain. All clan warriors under the age of 50 will participate, and the winner will be able to ask IIT Kara for anything he wants. He will grant any wish. Everyone is downcast, especially Janaya's squad, because they are all just scorekeepers. They are hardly expected to win. But Suzumura is determined to come first, so he orders Yusuji, the fastest guy in the clan, to slow down, or his legs will be broken. As you might have guessed, Suzumura is a jerk. Jinai realized his mistake and ran to the pharmacy to cancel his order, but it had already been sent and the spy would be able to send a new letter in 3 days. Jinai rushed after the messenger. It was just a competition and the lord had no malicious intent. The servants finally discovered that Princess Yuki had escaped, and the girl managed to get to the river where she met a filthy beggar. The bum decided that he was an easy prey and poked the princess in the stomach with a stick. However, Yuki was trained in martial arts and fought back the aggressive tramp. The princess also knows how to handle a short wakizashi sword. She figured out what she should do next. The lord has instructed her to find his daughter Suzumura. She will not go far. She will not be allowed through the outpost. Jinai, who was about to catch up with the messenger, was not allowed through the gate because he didn't have a pass. Suzumiya met the homeless man, and when he saw the princess kimono, he chopped off his head. Drunk and frustrated, Modi Imo showed the kid how a real samurai runs. Hands at the waist, back straight and knees should be raised higher. The young warrior Kazuma is secretly in love with one of the Eren, as Japanese prostitutes were called. He dreams of being the first to come and take the girl away from the brothel. Despite the threats, Yusuji is not going to give in, and before dinner he went to practice. On the path he meets an official who invites him to his place and sets a rich table. People make bets, and understandably Yusuji is the favorite with a big gap, and here the official bookmaker asked him to lose. If Yusuji will do it, he will get 10 gold ryo. His family is poor, so the runner thought about the proposal. From the official he brought a sumptuous dinner. His family had never eaten anything like it. Win the race or get rich, Yusuji asked his wife. Winning, unequivocally stated the woman. Then you can become a samurai. Matiman came home to visit the boy. He and his father were friends. Because Sudzma had knocked over a basket of mushrooms, the boy had earned almost nothing from selling them, so Matiman helped the family with money. A princess came running to the house dressed in a bum's clothes and asked to be fed. Yuki tells Matayamo that she is going to Edo, the capital of Japan. But without a pass, she will not be allowed to pass through the outpost. In the evening, Suzumura brings the lord his daughter's kimono and a bum's head. Itakara was upset, but didn't cancel the race. That same evening, a letter from a spy was delivered to the capital. Shogun instructed the assassin Hayabusa to finish off all the rebels and gave him 2 revolvers with him. Another young warrior was asked to join the assassination squad and was accepted. They discussed that firearms are weapons for weaklings, but they don't judge the winners, Hayabusa concluded. Jinai hid the throwing knives and shurikens in his kimono, and his wife bowed to him and said she would wait for him and his son at the castle. In the morning, all the warriors were roused so that Suzumura could get a name pass without waiting in line, because he was the son of the castle's commandant. Mataimon also signed up. He will help his new acquaintance Yuki, who pretended to be a young soldier. Mr. Itakara gave the start and the race began. The fast-footed Yusuji rushed forward, but Suzumura's men reminded him of their threats. Yuki's squire ran a short distance and stopped, his back hurting. Unlike everyone else, the princess runs the way they do in the West. The cunning Yuki waited for the last runner to disappear into the forest and ran to his horse, which was hidden nearby. He rode it down another path. The important Suzumura isn't going to run away on his own either. A stretcher was hidden in the forest, and his henchmen had to carry their lord on their shoulders. They took a shortcut, and the rested Suzumura came back to the race, pushing everyone in his way. He was the first to reach the outpost, and after checking the document he ran on. The tired shield maidens saw that Jinai was in too good of shape, so he had to pretend to be exhausted as well. The weaklings decided to take a rest. Jinai realizes his friends are slowing him down, so he said he'll come back and see how the stragglers are doing. Squire Yuki, Mataimon, Yuki, and the boy are the last to go. The girl was very tired and asked to run without her. The first runners reached the shrine, which is exactly half the distance. Here they were offered water, rice balls, and cucumbers. The warriors were also given tokens with which they could run back. At last Princess Yuki reached the outpost, but the guards are not fools. They immediately guessed that it was the escaped daughter of the lord. The girl began to swing her sword, but they quickly put her on the ground. Yuki took pity on the soldier who was responsible for her head and lowered her sword. The old man Maimon scolded the lazy scorekeepers, but he himself also stopped. He is tormented by cramps, but the kid is not going to run without him. Mom ordered to help the man and repay his kindness. Jinai saw the assassination squad and then Yuki with a horse, but she is not for the contest. He is also a spy and knows about the letter. Together with Shogun's men, he will attack the tired runners and slaughter them all. He knows nothing bad was intended, but orders are orders. After all, they serve the Shogun, not the Anaka clan. Yuki got tired of persuading Jinai, so he drew his katana and wounded the young warrior. Our hero also had to bear his blade. The two sword masters are not inferior to each other, but during the fight Jinai was left without a katana. He froze, then threw a knife at his opponent and killed him by piercing him with his short sword. At his last gasp, Yuki also tried to strike, but Jinai wouldn't let him. A squad of assassins approached the outpost. One Hayabusa approached the guards. The Japanese had never seen pistols, so they didn't realize anything when he opened fire on them. The ammunition ran out and Hayabusa drew a second revolver. The young fighter was ordered to finish off the wounded. A bound Yuki ran out of the cage. The first bullet flew near her, but the second bullet hit her in the shoulder after an aimed shot. Despite the wound, the girl was able to escape. At the river, the princess was met by Jinai and cut the rope. He recognized the lady, and she realized he was no ordinary shield maiden. The ninja removed the bullet and treated the wound. Yuki decided to go back to the castle and tell her father everything. Meanwhile, Suzumura and his henchmen found a way to take a shortcut again. One of them almost fell off the cliff, and when the lord ran forward, the other Akadema pushed his friend into the abyss. He bared his sword to stab Suzumura, but he didn't have time to do it. He had to run away from the bear. He found salvation in the rope, which helped Akadema to the safe side. When Suzumura climbed on it, the servant cut him off. He still held on, but the bear pooped on his head and Suzumura fell into the water from a great height. He was lucky to survive and was soon brought by the current to Janaya and the princess. They told Suzumura that the guards had been attacked by the shogun's men. He took his horse to find all the samurai and warn them of the danger, while Kojima ran to a group of shield maidens who seemed to have forgotten about the competition. They noticed that the samurai were acting strangely, and then Suzumura rode up on his horse and chopped off the traitor's head and informed the shield maidens of the attack. And Kojima was another spy for the shogun. Hayabusa burst into the city and roused the inhabitants with gunshots. He entered in his muddy shoes into Lord Itakuri's castle. They are old acquaintances. At the same time, the battle maids grabbed their bows and arrows. Satisfied, Hayabusa took out a gun and wounded the servant. This is the weapon of the barbarians, Itakuri declared. Japan doesn't need them. The fastest-footed samurai found the guards outnumbered and hurried to the castle. They were ambushed on the road by assassins. Yusuji easily handled the young warrior and slashed him with his sword. An archer chased after him and wounded him in the leg, but the boy, who always dreamed of becoming a samurai, masterfully dealt with the rider. Unfortunately, many of his comrades were slaughtered. Kazuma, who had dreamed of ransoming his lover from the brothel, was wounded when Suzumura rode by and chopped off 2 heads. Jaina saw that he was being pursued by 3 horsemen and prepared a trap. He pulled a rope and knocked the assassins off their horses. Together with the princess, they slit their throats. Suzumura's 2 swords are also at work. All of the shogun's assassins except the main one were slaughtered. The bodies of friends and enemies were piled along the road. The shield maidens came here when the slaughter was over. The exhausted warriors had only to overcome the last part of their bloody marathon. The runners suddenly remembered the competition and began to fight for first place again. Suzumura, the heroic lover of Azuma, and poor Kazuma were already at the finish line. When Hayabusa took aim at them, Jinai threw a knife into his hand, and the battle mage shot a dozen arrows at him. The villagers finished off the assassin. Itakura was overjoyed to see his daughter alive and well. Suddenly, the shogun's last spy almost stabbed the lord in the back, but Jinai saved him again. Itakuri shot the young aide with a pistol. The heroes were greeted by their favorite relatives. Yusu, the winner of the marathon, stashed a bun for his son. Kazuma was hugged by his beloved. Only Suzumura did not wait for reciprocity from the princess. By evening, the old man Mataimon and his boy had reached the dead bodies. They realized that the lord must be protected and also hurried to the castle. The last participants of the marathon were joyfully welcomed by the whole town. Itakuri realized that whatever trials awaited them, they would meet them with dignity, strength, and unity. Jinai offered to atone for his betrayal with Harakiri, but Princess Yuki begged her father to forgive him because the warrior had saved her life and the life of her lord. Itakuri took pity on the spy. He had just made a mistake with the medicine and would need to order a new one from the shogun. The order wanted to be delivered personally by the princess, and her father finally let her go to the capital. The girl was present during the treaty between Japan and the United States. After 20 years, the age of the samurai faded into oblivion, but the Samurai Marathon in the city of Anaka continues to be held every year.